Green. Okay, so hold on.
You're live.
Okay.
Get them to send you a new stream key. Get them to send you a new access. Okay. Try it.
I'm live on my own channel, no issue. Okay. Where am I jumping into here? Yeah, I understand. Okay, stream manager. Yeah, this is working. And I have quality control. Okay, so this is working. Test 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, I'm getting broadcast. Okay, I have an idea. That can work. I'm live. I'm on my own channel right now. I'll divert people to Discord and okay. So, hi everyone. We're half an hour late. I love technology. I know you all can't see me yet. I'm just doing final testing and I'm waiting for them to tell me that I'm good to go. But I am live. Okay, I have all the Twitches open so I can monitor those. Yeah, so something's wrong with Ponyfest's server on their end. Basically, I couldn't get the stream to go through. We're going to wait for them to get everything switched over. And as soon as they do, we will get started. I do apologize. The stuff beyond my control. Basically, something's going on there on Ponyfest. On the people who are running the server on their end, something's gone wrong. And we're trying to get it fixed. And as soon as I see it popped up on their Twitch channel. Still not popping up. Still not popping up. Like, I should get a notification here that says that I'm live there or hosted there. I'm not hosted there. Still not popping up. Where are you hosting me? Not getting a notification on my end of the host. Okay, there we go. It just went through. Okay, cool. ask them for a cutoff time because we're starting 30 minutes late, and I need to know what the new cutoff time is. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about Nightmare Night, which means you guys all get to see me now. Hi! Hi, everybody. Welcome. Guten Tag. Здравствуйте. Hello? I can say hello in like 30 languages at this point. I'm just trying to get some of the flustering out of me because we've been sitting here trying to troubleshoot this for 30 minutes. The chat you're seeing on the side here is the main events. Over on Discord, and I'll be switching between the two so everyone can see what's going on. I'm making sure people can hear me before I... Cool. That's what I need to know. Thank you very much, Liz. Hi, Mr. Magister. Thank you for being a mod. Thank you guys for helping us troubleshoot this. Okay, alright, so I need to kill this in a little bit, but in the meantime, we're here to talk about why ponies celebrate Nightmare Night. Hi! Okay, flustering out of my system. Let's get this going. This panel contains who the heck am I? What is Nightmare Night? It's a good question. Hold on, let me type this in. If you are over on main events or any panel room, you need to refresh for the host to be visible. Okay, that should get the word out. Basically, if you're over in the, you have to refresh, because if you don't refresh, the host isn't going to come up, and you're just going to see the wait screen. All right, we're here to talk about who the heck am I? What is Nightmare Night? The various celebrations of Halloween around the world that are the conglomeration of the MLP version of Halloween that is Nightmare Night. The differences and similarities between what we celebrate in the U.S. and what the ponies celebrate in their world. And some ancient mythology fun. It's going to involve cannibalism. And exorcism. Okay, you know what? That's just going to be the hilarious part that when we get to that. So, who am I? I'm Fiaura the Tank Girl. These are the three OCs, characters, whatever you want to call it, that I have been before. You have the scientist with the tanker uniform underneath on the left as a fox that I use for fur conventions in the past. You have Queen Quake, who I was at BabsCon. And you have Wandering Sunrise, who I am now. She's dressed up in her Halloween costume of Star Swirled the Bearded. I've been a scientist in the field of human sexuality and communication for 9 years. I have 69, and I'm not taking any more unless I absolutely have to, postgraduate courses. Nice. These include geometry, geology, sociology, psychology, history, chemistry, metallurgy, aerodynamics, you name it, I've done it. Physics, quantum physics, nuclear physics, theoretical physics. I like physics a lot, okay? Just let me have that. I play Wandering Sunrise for tabletop live streams, and I am the first legally published Fallout Equestria author for Fallout Equestria Dead Tree, which you will be hearing about tomorrow. That has nothing to do with this panel. That's just a little tidbit of information about who the heck the person is who's talking to you. Now, celebrations of Nightmare Night. We have a talk. You guys about to see how ghetto this has to be run sometimes. Yeah, it's Windows Movie Maker. Don't judge me. So, we see they have costumes. They're riding on various... I'm going to cut this down so that we don't cause a Twitch copyright problem. They have various celebrations, dances, specific music. That's a thing. They collect candy and treats. They engage in pranks. Of course, of course there's going to be a prank involved in this. You knew I was going to have to show a prank. With the intention of scaring each other. Now, it's important to know, the scaring each other is something we've done for years. I'm talking over this to make sure that Twitch understands that I am giving review and commentary so we don't have an issue with Twitch and later YouTube. But they do all of the things that we seem to do. But what are the origins of that? Why would you do this? Bobbing for apples, okay, you know what? They're horses. I can give them that. They're better at bobbing for apples than we are and clearly should be the ones doing it. So, we can see what they do. They have costumes. Why do they have costumes? They issue treats and candy and things that are normally reserved, like pastries, and they have games that are purposefully either mocking in comical ways, like spiders, jack-o'-lanterns, skulls. There's a skull right there in the shot right here. She's walking up. There's just a skull. They have haunted mazes and decorations and Nightmare Night specific events. They have pranks that they play on each other and it's socially acceptable. And they have purposeful instances of terror. They are actually purposely causing terror. Which is an interesting thing to note. Howdy, Dark Spectre. I'm talking to the Twitch chat, so I'm having to monitor like 3 different chats, so forgive me. I'm working on it. But yes, give the Kieran a hug because the Kieran has had a glitch. But they have all of these events. Why would you do this? You're celebrating the imprisonment of one of your rulers, right? Like that's what you're doing. And you're celebrating in essence during the time when she's more powerful, not the time when the ruler of the sun is more powerful, but when the time the ruler of the moon is more powerful. And she technically lost the Civil War. What? Alright, so let's take a look at some of our origins of Halloween. So we understand that certain things like witchcraft, animal sacrifice, burning of sage and smudging, and the keeping at bay of the souls of the dead through bonfires comes from Samhain, which is a Celtic harvest festival. It is the idea of celebrating the harvest while at the same time warning everyone that this period of great prosperity comes at the cost of a period of great trial and tribulation, i.e. winter, that is going to be coming immediately afterwards. Further, because they can feel the change of the seasons, this is a time for rituals and games to divine your fortune, to give you a fate to look forward to. And they do... Oh, excuse me, pardon me. I apologize. But they do this through various methods such as rolling bones, cutting animals and reading innards. These were the origins of Halloween in the 3rd century. Freaky deaky stuff. Here's an image of what a Beltane offering circle looks like. Beltane being the Welsh tradition, not Scottish. Beltane is not Scottish; it's Welsh. Irish tradition is Samhain, as is the Isle of Man in Scotland. Don't get them confused. And some of you would argue with me till you're blue in the face. Look. I had to pick up several books. I had to read some Wikipedia articles. I had to read some actual scientific history articles. And I even talked to a professor about this to make sure I was getting this stuff right. This is what a Beltane offering circle looks like. You notice it's lit with candles because they can't simulate a bonfire with all the different pieces around them, so they're using candles in place of a bonfire. They're offering pumpkins. Why would you offer pumpkins? And they're offering some animal with antlers. I think it's a stag. But that skull is a little small, so I'm not entirely sure what that animal is. But this is a Beltane circle. Now, the next phase of Halloween that we get ideas from is the Roman version of Halloween, described as Lemuria. According to the ancient Roman religion that celebrated gods like Mars and Jupiter, the gods that our planets are named after. The Roman holiday of Lemuria was, first off, celebrated in the month of May, not October, and is considered the end of spring and beginning of summer. And the reason why it is considered the turbulent month is because in May is when soldiers would march out to begin the campaign season, which is when a lot of people would die from events that are beyond their control. And during May, you didn't want ghosts of your relatives, ghosts of people you had upset, or your family had upset, or specters, which specters, specifically in Roman tradition, a specter is a non-human spirit, meaning they were never human. But they are also considered the restless dead. One of the most common specters you see from Lemuria is the devouring snake, which is a lizard-like entity that is snake-like mostly. It has vestigial arms, and instead of having a snake's mouth, it has a human mouth about halfway down its body. Some of the imagery that'll come up is that snake devouring people's souls, not their bodies. It literally rips their soul out and eats it. During the month of May for Lemuria, it was unlucky to be born. So if I were born in ancient Rome, since I'm born in the month of May, I would be an unlucky birth. It's unlucky to have a marriage, and it's unlucky to make a major financial investment. This is what the Romans believed. This is not fact, or I'm not presenting this as I'm presenting this as someone else's belief system. They would run around burning bundles of sage and throwing black beans while repeating incantations to rebuke ghosts, spirits, and specters and exorcise them back into the graveyard. Is the pony skull atomically accurate for pony heads? Yes. If you don't have the lower jaw or the neck bone, yes, in fact, it is actually accurate. And also, they would consider the night, the Roman holiday would consider the night the veil between life and death when it is thinnest. That concept is a Roman concept, not a Celtic concept, not a concept from the Beltane, not a concept from Spain. That is a concept from Rome. And this is some of the images you would find for Lemuria. So you have this man up top who hasn't saged his home, who is being haunted by specters and ghosts, and he hears them and sees them, and it drives him mad. You have the serpents I talked about down here with the very human mouths that go partway down their bodies. There's actually a full image where it goes all the way down its body, starts eating you from what would be the snake's neck. You have the animal sacrifice, the playing of instruments, the burning of the sage bundles, and the offering of the first harvest of the year, because the month of May was also the first harvest, and it was the weakest harvest because you don't actually start growing stuff in March and it takes till October for it to mature. It's just October is the last harvest and often the richest harvest because it gets the longest amount of time to mature. So the last point of origin we have for Halloween and for Nightmare Night that we can consider humans interposing onto ponies is Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. It's adopted, a lot of it, to the Catholic Church, is adopted directly from the Aztec religion about keeping Quetzalcoatl sleeping and preventing the apocalypse by the dead rising from their graves. Again, you get this concept of the night where the veil between life and death is thinnest. The celebration is of the dead. You're celebrating your dead ancestors to show that you remember them, to show they don't need to come back to haunt you. It's much more closely related to, say, the Japanese or Chinese concept of ancestors than it is related to rebuking the undead. And this was straight up co-opted by the Catholic Church, with all the traditions intact. Putting on a skeleton mask. The jack-o'-lantern is from this tradition, where you would carve out a pumpkin, use its insides for food, and you would use the husk for decoration. Some of the music from Dia de los Muertos, particularly the acoustic string instrument and the pan flute, are straight out of Aztec religion. And the big feast and offerings of food on altars to the dead is straight out of Aztec religion. So here's an image of Quetzalcoatl, or what we believe the Aztecs describe them as looking like. I'm going to say them and they because Quetzalcoatl is sometimes referred to as a he and sometimes referred to as a she, and is also referred to as a shifter god in that they can appear as male or female. But there is a flaw with this image, and I want to point this out. Quetzalcoatl does not take human sacrifice. It's very important to note this about Aztec religion. This is one of two gods they have that says, you are not allowed to sacrifice humans to me. I only take humans if I am here to kill you. Instead, you offer animal and food sacrifices, and you are most likely to wake up. This god, and the idea is to keep the god asleep. Because Quetzalcoatl was a god, according to the Aztecs, is the god of wind, air, and learning. But has a very important rule that you're not allowed to learn too much. You're not allowed to learn too much, or Quetzalcoatl will come and kill you. And strike down your whole civilization because you're too smart. And the idea was to keep them asleep so you could advance your own society and technology without fear of this god of creation coming and taking away its creation. So, pony origins. Let's take a look at the pony story of Nightmare Night. So, Nightmare Moon is also, according to the Tale of the Two Sisters, someone who haunts you in your nightmares. You put on your disguise so the dead can't find you, which is a tradition from Siam and a tradition from the Day of the Dead. The gobbling up of ponies from Quetzalcoatl. Because if Quetzalcoatl wakes up and sees you, she's going to devour you. Purposeful pranks and terror. And I'm going to explain the purpose of terror and fear about Halloween and Nightmare Night here shortly. And of course, we have Luna actually appearing in this episode because, if we're going to have a Luna episode, we may as well have it. This is Season 2, Episode 4, for those of you who want the episode reference. Okay. So, all this said, they use costumes to hide from the spirits of the dead. We use costumes as a way of getting dressed up and prancing around, but that did evolve from the origins of Halloween, where it was used to hide from demons and devils, which is an adaptation of the Christian church from the Celtic mythology that if you wear a costume on the night of Saim, or the Welsh tradition of Beltane, if you wear a costume to hide your face and conceal who you are, the spirits of the dead, when they are most active, won't be able to find you and haunt you. We see them sacrificing treats and candies to both Aztec, which is both Aztec and Roman, to hide the spirits, to keep them satisfied, to keep them at bay. And we also see direct mention of straight up cannibalism. Nightmare Moon is apparently cannibalistic if she's not satisfied. Quetzalcoatl would devour you if they woke up because you didn't provide them with the proper sacrifices. But Quetzalcoatl's not the only god that does this.
Welcome, son.
So we have, I can't even pronounce your name. Huitzilopochtli, the Aztec father of the gods, the chief god, committed hundreds of acts of cannibalism in his own mythology and was the reason for Aztec human sacrifice. You sacrificed it to him so he wouldn't eat the rest of you and your family. Atreus and Thyestes, brother gods, supposedly sons of Kreos, king of Mycenae and king of Olympia itself. There's their two images right here in the middle. This is Atreus, and this is the most associated image with Thyestes. Ate their family and a few of their friends. Atreus was blamed for the cannibalism and exiled from the mountain of the gods for it. Kronos, god of time. This is an important one. Kronos, god of time, would not only devour gods, but if you asked Kronos a question and he found your question boring, he would eat you. A Rakshasa, which is a multi-headed shapeshifter with the power of teleportation, was known to devour human heads after flame broiling them. This comes from the Hindu and Buddhist mythology. And here on the end we have the H.P. Lovecraft god Azaloth, which if you just say H.P. Lovecraft, which H.P. Lovecraft gods will eat you? H.P. Lovecraft gods eat people, comma, many. Both many gods and many people. H.P. Lovecraft mythology has a wonderful host, also referred to as the Eldritch God idea, as a wonderful host of things that eat us. Azathoth here, actually, if they ever wake up, they will devour the entire universe. Which is why this little star here is our solar system, is our entire solar system, and this is a size comparison. Cannibalism is apparently a very common thing with Halloween celebrations. I was unaware of this until I dove into this, and I'm just like, oh my god! There's like deities in every pantheon that will eat you straight up! By the way, Christians have devils. Christian mythology, there's devils and demons. Demons are things that we normally associate with things like possession or doing people favor. Devils are the types of demons that straight up will not help you, but are strictly here to devour you, mind, body, and soul. Devils are fallen archangels, according to Christian mythology. So now you know the difference. But let's move on to less cannibalism and more like, what's the point of being scared? Fight or flight endorphins are nearly identical to the same endorphins that cause happiness. This is an evolutionary response because if you survive the life-threatening instance, you are often overwhelmed with joy. Because now you're actually genuinely happy emotionally that you survived, but also those fight or flight endorphins that woke you right up as the adrenaline slammed into them are doubling up with the happiness endorphins and creating a state of euphoria. The safety of our modern world Because up until, I want to say, close to the 1950s, you didn't have near the survival rate you have now. Some of your great-grandparents or even some of your grandparents talk about how they have 7 or 8 little brothers and sisters. They also talk about how they have like 3 or 4 of them that didn't grow up to be adults because they died. Our modern world is very safe. And so we seek out experiences of terror, experiences of fear, because we as human beings need to feel that. And I will tell you right now a little secret. This is also from the study you see at the bottom. Various studies by Linda Shab and Arash. Had a little hiccup. Varabat of Wayne State University. One of their studies found that you were much more likely to have sex or to have intimacy with a partner if you went and saw a scary movie as opposed to going and seeing a superhero movie or a movie about or a fantasy movie or a movie or any other movie. Really, you were much more likely to have intimacy if you went and saw a scary movie. Fear is also about testing our discipline and control. Human beings are most often found to make the most number of mistakes under 2 conditions: fatigue and fear. When you're tired, you make more mistakes. When you're afraid, you make more mistakes. Testing your discipline and control is something that modern masculinity emphasizes. And one of the best ways to do that is to be afraid. Because when you are afraid, you are much more... Yes, even compared to romantic movies, Dragon Turtle. Even compared to romantic movies, you are much more likely to have an intimate night seeing a scary movie. I know that's weird to hear. And this is one of the reasons why I asked this panel to be scheduled later in the day. Which they did, thankfully. But you're much more likely to... You're attempting to have that discipline and control to act even though you're afraid. There's a reason why the military does a lot of its training in situations where they are purposely trying to make the soldiers afraid and aware of danger. So they will continue to act with sense and normalcy despite the danger. Hyper-alertness and sensory stimulation are akin to ecstasy, the drug. When you're flooded with the same endorphins that cause fear, the flight and flight response, and the amount of adrenaline that surges through you, it gives the same chemical responses your body would have from sensory stimulation as if you were on ecstasy. I don't know if the same applies to horror games. I honestly don't know, Textalion. But it's the same thing as if you were on ecstasy. The drug. And if you go look up the effects of ecstasy, the biggest effect is hyper-alertness and sensory overload. This is a natural way to get it. And post-fright celebration is a life affirmation event. When you get scared... So when I pause, guys, it's because the connection had a hiccup, and I'm waiting for the connection to reach stable again. But when you get scared, exactly, train like you fight like you were trained. The will to win is not as important as the will to prepare to win. But post like the life affirmation events that happen after you've been terrified. The life affirmation events are things like you go out drinking with your buddies, you have a big feast, you laugh and cut up and you make jokes about it. You reaffirm the fact that you survived your terrifying ordeal. And you often will reaffirm that fact through celebrations with your intimate partner. Same thing. And this is over the course of a series of about 12 studies by Linda Shiab and Arish Favat at Wayne State University. You can look these up. They do a huge amount of research on fear and how fear affects the human mind and our social actions. Fear affects the human mind and our social actions. I apologize again. A little internet hiccup. I'm just trying to time myself to make sure I get through the hiccups and not cause you guys to miss the information. All right, so working out the origins of their celebration. We have 3 different celebrations. To refresh, I'm going to scroll back here. I don't often scroll back during these panels. Ah, shoot. Okay, one moment. Had a crash. Happens. So you have Samhain and Beltane from the English Isles. You have Lumaria, and you have Dia de los Muertos. These. The hell is that? That's a new error. I'm about to go look up, like, I might have to reinstall OpenOffice to get this. All right, we're not going to go into slideshow mode because apparently that's causing an error. We're going to stay in actually, I should be able to now. Nope. Okay. Something's wrong with this. Gremlins have just decided that today's the day, haven't they? No. All right, so you guys might end up getting to see my notes. Okay. I can still do it this way, though. So we have 3 celebrations that bring together Halloween as we the Americans know it. Actually, my notes are on the other screen, so you guys can't actually see those. Ha, I win. Because I'm only capturing one screen. Yes, Marie, I am from Alabama. I do pronounce things wrong sometimes. I apologize. I'm not going to pronounce everything correctly all the time. This stream will be saved and will be re-uploaded to my YouTube channel. If you're on my Twitch channel, you can scroll down. You can see my YouTube. You can access my Twitter, FinFiction, and my Discord. But we'll get to that at the end. So you have these 3 celebrations that come together. How did ponies develop similar traditions? Well, Luna invades their dreams. Directly has control over their dreams. She's the queen of the night. And they wanted to transform the fear of her into a celebration, much as we did over the course of about a century from the 1820s until the 1930s, transform Halloween from a day of fear into a day of celebration and fun and games. The point was to make something that we could remember and make it good and toss out all the bad parts, because we as humans don't like living the bad parts. And Luna is a nightmare god. She literally has direct control over whether or not you have a nightmare. So Nightmare Night versus Halloween. Costumes. Not even slightly different. They straight up dress up to hide from demons, ghosts, and goblins. And that is the actual origin of it, even into the 1930s, to where we know of the modern version of Halloween. There is actually no video clip free. That needs to go. Jack-o'-lanterns. Yeah. Those are ripped straight out of Aztec tradition, ripped straight out of Dia de los Muertos, and distributed around the world at this point because they look nice. They're easy to do. And people like pumpkin pie. Seriously, they do. That's a legitimate thing. Similar games verbatim. They bob for apples. We bob for apples and all sorts of stuff. I've actually been to a party where we bob for alcohol. Trick or treat. You walk up to the door and you say trick or treat, and either they have to either give you a treat. If they answer the door, they have to give you a treat of candy, or you get to play a trick on them. That's actually how that works. Symbols of fear that are turned into cartoonish analogies: spiders, witches, cauldrons, haunted houses, spirits, demons, serial killers. You will keep seeing the more modern things we fear creep into this. A very good example of this is over in Germany as a part of their haunted houses. Get this one. In Germany, part of their haunted house is walking into a bombed out building and having someone come out to you covered in blood begging for help. And it stems from World War II. That stems from World War. That's part of German haunted houses. That's messed up. I'm not even gonna that's just wow. We play pranks on each other. Every one of you have at least been pranked once or pranked someone on Halloween. Is it an exact copy, though? That's the question. Could I fit The Nightmare Before Christmas into Nightmare Night? No. There's a very important reason. They have a direct God. And there are some post-reunification of the crowns of the twin sisters that change Nightmare Night. Luna has to be taught what Nightmare Night is. And more importantly, everyone wants to give Luna a good Nightmare Night. And everyone wants to treat Luna nicely because Luna can go into your dreams and know what all the... So I'm going to just go off on a little tangent here. Luna has the ultimate propaganda machine. Your subconscious. Luna has the ultimate blackmail machine. Your subconscious dreams. What are you dreaming about? What are your concerns? What are your problems? She has the ultimate polling station to figure out what's going on in the kingdom. And she has the ultimate ability to torture. Because the greatest torture is to put someone into a nightmare where the rules of reality are not entirely solid. So working theory here, Nightmare Night is the one night of the year where Luna is allowed to give everyone nightmares and they can't complain. Yeah, I did mention this was going to get a little dark. I didn't mention how dark. But I did mention that. So, I'm going to link these in chat because I can. In the meantime, I'm going to look at some questions here because MLP goes through seasons that pertain to the sun getting less and less in their area, right? While the night becomes longer. What or does that somehow affect Luna being stronger in comparison to Celestia? No. I don't think it does. I think it's just an agreement between them that she gets more time to Celestia wants to sleep more, and Luna wants more responsibility. The two of them are coming to an agreement and a compromise where Luna can have more responsibility and more time to be Luna and be in charge, and Celestia can have more sleep. And they shoving responsibilities off on each other. Does trick or treat originate from the idea of offering to avoid being eaten? Yes! Trick or treat comes from the idea that if you don't give a sufficient offering, you deserve to be punished. So that is where trick or treat comes from. If you don't give a sufficient offering, you deserve to be punished. What does it mean if we're an anxious person who actively avoids horror movies because they can't take the tension and not get enjoyment from it? Is there something wrong with our brains? No! Actually, Dragon Troll, there's nothing wrong with your brain. You are allowed to not like the feeling of being frightened and not view it as something you need to conquer or get over. Fear, particularly healthy fear, is a good thing. Being afraid is good for you because it lets you know when you're in danger. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather working through the fear that you feel and continuing forward. Make sure I didn't miss anything in Twitch chat, and then I'll go back over here to main events and have a look and make sure I didn't miss anything there. Okay, that is everything here. Over here in main events questions. I'm curious if more nighttime would actually. I don't think it would, Amethyst, but I mean that's a subjective thing. I think you'd have to ask the creators of the show. The depression part, does the film have a happy ending? Obviously, someone does. So, is feeling depressed and having nightmares after watching a horror movie just a bad trip then? Yes, actually, Denim. That's a form of a bad trip in which you have experienced the flight or fight response and have received a form of Fizzy glitch just jumped to your computer. Yeah, apparently. It is you not taking those endorphins and going with an affirmation of life, but still being worried about the fear coming after you. There's nothing wrong with your brain. It's just you have a more leniency towards the negative aspect. Bingo, Brett. That is actually accurate. Well, actually, the courage is not the... I'm going to look this up real quick because I know I'm quoting someone when I say that. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. That's who I'm quoting when I say that. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. That's a quote from FDR before he was actually elected president, apparently. It was one of his campaign speeches. So, I do have a store in the vendor hall. I did just get an order, which was the ping on my phone. Orders will go out Monday, hopefully. The Arizona post office has been sidelined due to the election. Basically, I showed up to the Arizona post office on Monday to mail stuff, and they told me that I should come back next week because if it wasn't election related, it's not going to get mailed out. So I went back home with the couple of orders I had. But I do have a store. For you guys. I am willing to answer questions, and I will hopefully be mailing everything out on Monday or Tuesday next week. The store supports this research. To get access to those papers by Schab and Van Bacht. I really can't pronounce his name worth a flip. I know he's a Frank, but I can't pronounce his name. But to get access to those papers, a few of them I had to pay for. So this panel in and of itself, I would estimate costed the Netflix subscription to get access to the show, so that's $15, and about $76 in research papers, and $25 to get an hour of a professor's time, since I'm not a student at the university for the professor I wanted to talk to, in order to make the panel. So all total... this costed about $150 to make this panel. And Charlie requested this panel, so I said, okay, I'll do it. Does anybody else have any other questions, thoughts, or comments? See, I'm trying to get through the material because I know that technically I'm trying to put us back on schedule. And I don't want to overrun the time. Okay. So I'm gonna give a couple minutes, just 2 minutes, for additional questions. You can see my information here on screen. You can see, and this panel will be re-uploaded to YouTube Monday. Tomorrow's panel will be uploaded Tuesday, and Sunday's panel will be uploaded Wednesday if everything goes according to plan. If it doesn't, I'll let you know. What was it like for bobbing for alcohol? You had to be very careful because the alcohol was in glass and plastic bottles, and you didn't know if you were biting a glass or plastic bottle until you got your teeth around it or bumped it with your face. Okay, I'm being pinged. Hold on. I'm trying to get rid of the ping. Thank you for the bunny drinking buddy, but I need a... yes, I have. I'm a community guest here for Ciderfest. I tried to make opening ceremonies, but we were having some broadcasting difficulty, and I wanted to fix that instead of being at opening ceremonies, which is why we started late. But I'm a community guest for the convention. I will be at closing ceremonies, but I do have 3 panels this weekend. Let me get to those real quick. There's this panel. There's Ciderfest. And then tomorrow, I have 2 panels. Scheduled at 11:30. I have a panel with Vivid Syntax and myself, both community guests, who are going to be going over how to write fan fiction and how to get published. Because both he and I, around here, carefully pull this off my bookshelf. He and I are published. I'm going to blow this up to full screen here. And this is not, this is legal publication. So there's my disclaimers that I had to put in. Here's my credits page. And the newer copies have a barcode and a full copyright page and a print indicator, which is the... So if you look in a lot of books, you'll see these numbers on a page that seem odd because it'll say like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what printing that book is for that particular volume. So there's a lot of those that actually exist. So I actually have that and everything, and it is a fully legally printed book at this point because it's recognized as a legal parody by the state of Virginia. Thank you, Virginia. I think that's everything. I'm going to check one more time for questions, and I'm also going to check backstage panel to make sure that to ask them how they want me to wind up. How do you want me to wind up? Just kill the stream, or what do you want done? Because this is not a normal thing. I'm supposed to be streaming over on their YouTube channel, but that hasn't, or on their Twitch channel, but that hasn't worked. But yes, I have 2, and then I have the Fallout Equestria panel tomorrow. Have the connection stabilized. Thank you. I have the Fallout Equestria panel tomorrow with a bunch of voice actors from the fandom who are working on either working with East Corp or are working on Fallout Equestria Dead Trees audiobook. So they have a bunch of voice actors and other people who are going to be coming by. And hopefully we will be debuting our new chapter and possibly a new song tomorrow. I'm checking to make sure what all we can do for that panel to get out tomorrow. Alright, yeah, I'll be at closing ceremonies, Chris. Is avoidance of horror also because it's a reminder of an amalgamation of what's wrong with the world? Yes. Because your self-doubt and you are most likely to be afraid of the things you yourself consider stressors. But yes, I have the publication panel in the morning tomorrow and the Fallout Equestria panel in the evening. And during the midday, we will be playing Star Wars tabletop here on my Twitch channel as well. You all get to see the Doom Bunny. Or Darth Bunny. I don't know what the book page is for. Because that's not my writing. I'm not sure what that's for. Anyway, that's everything. Let me see what they want me to do real quick. Down here in Ciderfest. Okay. Killing intent. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for your patience. Do apologize for the technical difficulties. Working with it the best we can. Good night, everybody, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and tomorrow evening. And again, if you have questions for me, you can ping. If you have questions for me, you can ping me on Discord. I don't restrict people from being able to message me. Also, if you have questions about my vendor hall, you can ping me on Discord. And if you live outside the United States, I will make special discount codes for your shipping. I always have the Canada code running, but I will make a special discount code for your shipping, so it's cheaper than the base $70 that it would normally be if I can get a cheaper code for you. In the meantime, good night and happy Nightmare Night.